So, quick question. When you picture the ocean, are you thinking of peaceful waves or an endless void that does not care about you?
Because for me, it's the second one immediately.
Which is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on a cruise? Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're talking something. Just kidding. Today we're talking about something that makes the ocean even worse. Ghost ships.
Ships that were found drifting with no one on board. Ships that vanished and came back. Ships that people swear they've seen glowing in the fog.
And the thing is, a lot of these weren't wrecks. They weren't sinking. They were stocked, operational, and sometimes meals were still set out.
Which means at some point, an entire crew collectively decided, nope, we're leaving right now.
And whatever made them do that, that's what we're here to talk about.
So if you're listening while near water, ocean, lake, bathtub, maybe just keep the lights on.
So, hi, hello.
Hello.
I'm Denisha.
I'm Ashley.
And this is the Afterlife Hotline.
Mm-hmm.
You may notice, if you are a visual watcher, that we are in a different setting. Again,
Yeah.
I just flipped room. Like,
we're just on the other side of the room.
It's fine.
Just like 5 feet away from
everything
where we were
is
last
fine.
time. It's much nicer now.
I agree.
I like it.
Also, these are like hefty fucking curtains.
Hell yeah. Are they blackout?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Nice.
baby.
We actually have a nice little backdrop now. You don't have to stare at a blank wall.
That makes us look really matte and flat.
We look perfect.
But today we're talking ghost ships. And when people hear the word ghost ship, they usually picture something haunted. Chains rattling, phantom captains, translucent sailors pacing back and forth on deck. And sometimes, yes, that is a part of it. But historically, a ghost ship is any vessel found abandoned or mysteriously returned with no clear explanation.
No distress signals, no signs of struggle, just a ship continuing on without its people. And that's honestly scarier than violence, because violence leaves evidence. Panic leaves evidence.
But ghost ships, they leave questions. So the type of ghost ships you can find are ships found drifting intact with the crew gone, ships that just disappear and later reappear, or ships reported long after they should no longer exist.
And these stories go back centuries. Different oceans, different cultures, same pattern, which is important because it means that this isn't just one era being dramatic. It's a reoccurring human fear. What happens when the ocean decides to keep the people but return the vessel?
And now we're going to make that fear worse.
Oh, no. Oh, no. All my brain, whenever you decided on us doing Ghost Ships, was
the movie.
I mean, yeah.
If
y'all have not seen that TikTok video, or if you do not follow us on TikTok, you should go do so. I mean, just a suggestion. Probably it's our number one video on our channel.
It went semi-viral.
Yeah, over 100,000 views, and
it makes me look rather insane because we're discussing the movie Ghost Ship.
It's the best part,
and I'm talking about how it's gory and beautiful. I don't even remember what I said.
I don't remember.
All I talked about is their heads getting chopped off.
Okay, she is a lover of movies, and so she was stating what she stated from like a movie lover standpoint, like how the cinematic and everything like that. It was beautiful. And I'm just listening to her talk about people's bodies get cut in half and heads get cut off, and I'm just sitting here like
in pure disgust, and I'm like, oh my God, it was beautiful.
And then she's just staring at me. She's like, and I'm just like,
maybe this is our sign to re-upload that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So freaking funny. So let's talk about one of the creepiest real maritime mysteries ever, the Mary Celeste. And what makes the story unsettling isn't ghosts or legends. It's that everything about it actually happened. November of 1872, the Mary Celeste left New York, headed for Italy. On board were 10 people total. The captain, Benjamin Briggs, his wife, Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter, and 7 crew members. They were hauling a pretty standard cargo for the time, about 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. Nothing sketchy, nothing dramatic, just another long ocean crossing. And for this first couple weeks, totally normal. Then the ship just disappears. Almost a month later, on December 4th, another ship called the Gracia spotted the Mary Celeste floating in the Atlantic, somewhere near the Azores. From a distance, it doesn't look wrecked. The sails are still up, it's not sinking, but no one's responding. So they board it, and that's where things get weird. The ship is empty. No people, no bodies, no signs of a fight. Food is still there. Personal belongings are still there, though cargo hasn't been touched. The ship itself is still in good enough condition that it could have kept sailing. But the lifeboat? Gone. The logbook shows the last entry was made about 10 days earlier, and it doesn't mention anything wrong. No storm, no emergency, nothing. Now, there was some water in the hold a few feet, but not nearly enough to sink the ship. Investigators later realized the pump may not have been working properly, which means the crew could have thought the ship was flooding way faster than it actually was. When the Mary Celeste was brought into Gibraltar, officials tore the ship apart looking for answers. Piracy? Nope. Mutiny? No. No evidence. Murder? Nothing. They even suspected the crew who found the ship, but that went nowhere too. So the question becomes, why leave? One theory is that the alcohol cargo leaked fumes. Alcohol vapor is flammable, and even if there wasn't an explosion, the fear of one might have been enough. Imagine being in the middle of the ocean with your wife and toddler, thinking your ship could blow at any moment. You might grab the lifeboat, planning to come back once things felt safe. Another theory is navigation trouble. The ship's chronometer. Yeah. The ship's chronometer, I'm just like, chronometer.
Sound it out.
Chronometer. And navigational tools were missing, which suggests the crew didn't panic and flee. They planned to survive. But here's the thing. If they meant to come back, they never did. No lifeboat was ever found. No bodies washed ashore. Nothing. And that's why the Mary Celeste gets called a ghost ship. Not because it was haunted. There's actually no evidence of anything paranormal, but because it's a mystery that just stops mid-sentence. Later on, the story got exaggerated and dramatized, especially after Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a fictional version that made it way more sensational. Wow, I cannot fucking read.
Are you me right now? Where are your glasses?
Oh. And that's when the cursed theories and paranormal explanations really took off. But the real story is scarier. A ship that was still working, a crew that vanished, no clear reason, no final warning. The Mary Celeste doesn't need ghosts because sometimes the ocean doesn't explain itself. And that might be the most unsettling part. Where did they go? Where did they go?
It's true, though, because, like, where did they go? You would think that they would have turned up at some point.
Especially if they were on, like, a little lifeboat.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on, like, how far out were they in the ocean.
But then also no bodies recovered.
Yeah.
All right. If the Mary Celeste is a ghost ship that vanished, then the Flying Dutchman is a ghost ship that refused to.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the most famous phantom ship legend in the world. Sailors have been talking about it for hundreds of years. And what's wild is that a lot of those stories come from people who genuinely believed they saw something with their own eyes. Ooh, Flying Dutchman. The legend most commonly traces back to the 1600s, during the height of the European sea exploration. According to the story, the Flying Dutchman was a Dutch trading vessel, captained by a man often named Hendrik van der Decken.
That's a name. Hendrik van der Decken.
Hendrik van der Decken. Though the name changes depending on who's telling it, understandably.
Yeah.
The core of the legend stays the same, though. The ship is trying to round the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, an extremely dangerous stretch of ocean known for brutal storms. When the weather turns violent, the captain either refuses to turn back or swears an oath that he'll make the crossing, even if it takes until Judgment Day. And that is, of course, where things go wrong. Depending on the version, the captain either blasphemies, making a deal with the devil, or is cursed by God himself. The punishment? Eternal sailing, never docking, never resting, just roaming the oceans forever.
No.
Which makes me think about the Pirates of the Caribbean, because he forever sails, but he's taking souls back.
Oh, yeah.
Davy Jones is Laka. I wonder where Davy Jones comes from.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Because sailors didn't just tell the story as a legend. They treated sightings of the Flying Dutchman as bad omens. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, there are written reports from sailors who claimed they saw a glowing ship on the horizon. sometimes floating above the water, sometimes sailing directly into the storms that no real ship could survive. One of the most famous reported sightings happened in 1881 when Prince George of Wales, who would later become King George V of England, King George V, recorded seeing what was believed to be the Flying Dutchman during a naval voyage. According to the account, the ship appeared glowing red in distance, and a sailor who spotted it later that same night reportedly fell to his death from the rigging.
Oh, bad omen.
Now, obviously, we have to say this part very clearly. There is no physical proof that the Flying Dutchman exists as a literal ghost ship. No wreckage, no confirmed photographs, nothing that you can point to and say, yeah, that's the Flying Dutchman. But there are scientific explanations for what sailors may have seen. One of the biggest is something called a Fata Morgana. Fata? She got a Fata.
Ew.
She got a Fata Morgana. She got that Fata Morgana. You know what I'm saying?
Fata Morgana.
That is a rare atmospheric phenomena where light bends over the horizon and makes distant ships appear to float, stretch, glow, or even hover above the water. This kind of mirage is especially common near the Cape of Good Hope. So, a normal ship, seen under the right conditions, could look completely unnatural, ghostly, glowing, and impossible. Another factor, extreme exhaustion. Long voyages, little sleep, constant danger, sailors were under intense physical and mental stress. Seeing something strange on the horizon and interpreting it as an omen wouldn't have been unusual. But here's the thing that keeps the legend alive. The Flying Dutchman isn't just usually described as attacking ships. It doesn't board, it doesn't sink vessels, it just appears and then disappears. Silent, watching, passing through the storms, untouched. And sailors believed that if you saw it, it meant disaster was coming. Storms, shipwrecks, death at sea. So even if the ship itself wasn't real, even if the ship itself wasn't real, the fear was. Over time, the Flying Dutchman became a symbol of the ocean's cruelty, a reminder of what happens when humans challenge forces bigger than themselves. It shows up in operas, literature, pirate folklore, and even modern pop culture. It always carries the same message. Some journeys don't end, and some mistakes follow you forever. And the sea keeps its punishments very close. Whether the Flying Dutchman was a mirage, a moral warning, or something stranger, the fact that sailors across centuries believed they saw it tells us something important. At sea, not everything that haunts you needs to be supernatural. Sometimes the ocean itself is enough.
So what I'm hearing is it's the ocean.
The ocean, she is a nasty being. She can play many a tricks.
This one is dark. And unlike the Flying Dutchman, the story doesn't come with centuries of legends attached. It shows up in the mid-20th century, which somehow makes it feel more unsettling. The story of the Orang Medan allegedly takes place in the late 1940s, somewhere in the waters of Southeast Asia, near Indonesia and the Strait of Malacca. Yes, Malacca.
Off the coast of Manaka. Bacon.
If you know, you know. According to reports, multiple ships in the area picked up a distress signal over the radio. And this wasn't a normal SOS. The message supposedly came through in broken Morse code and read something like, "All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in the chart room and bridge, possibly the whole crew dead." Then, after a pause, one final transmission, "I die." And then silence. One of the ships that allegedly responded was an American vessel often named the SS Silver Star in retellings. When its crew boarded the Orang Medan, they were met with something horrifying. Every single person on board was dead. The crew, including the captain, were reportedly found sprawled across the decks, frozen in place, mouths open, eyes wide, faces twisted in terror, no visible wounds, no signs of violence, no indication of struggle. Even more disturbing, the ship itself appeared intact. No fire, no obvious damage, just death. As the boarding crew investigated, they claimed the ship began to smoke from below the deck. Fearing an explosion, they retreated, and shortly after, the Orang Medan allegedly blew up and sank, taking any physical evidence with it. That would suck. You get there and you're trying to figure out what the hell happened. You don't even get to figure out what happened because it just blew up.
I would be pissed. I need a resolution to stories.
Yeah, like I need what happened?
What happened? What
happened? And that's where the story gets complicated. Here's the uncomfortable truth. No official records of a ship named Orang Medan have ever been found. Interesting. No ship registry, no confirmed distress logs, no insurance records, nothing solid. The story first appeared in Dutch and Indonesian publications in the early 1950s and later spread through paranormal books and magazines. Some researchers believe the ship name may translate loosely to Man from Medan, which adds to the mystery but doesn't confirm its existence. These are theories, some more grounded than others. One possibility is toxic gas exposure. During that time period, ships sometimes illegally transported dangerous chemicals like cyanide, nitroglycerin, or potassium cyanide. A leak could have killed the crew quickly and caused panic before death. Now, I'm curious if they were like up on the main deck, like out in the air, like would it still...
Probably because it'd all be condensed and like if it was coming up from seeping through the floorboards and stuff like that, like it's going to hit their nose before it then just dissipates.
That's true. Another theory points to carbon monoxide poisoning, which can kill without leaving obvious marks and can cause confusion and terror, which the unfortunate part is they don't even get to test it because they blew up. And then there's the idea that the entire story is a maritime hoax or urban legend, stitched together from multiple unrelated incidents and amplified over time. But here's why the Orang Medan still gets talked about. Even if the ship itself never existed, the story taps into something very real: the fear of sudden, unexplained death in an environment where help is far away and mistakes are fatal. No struggle, no escape, no survivors to explain what happened, unlike the Mary Celeste where everyone vanished. Yeah, but there was nobody to tell the story of the Mary Celeste either. Or the Flying Dutchman, which never ends. The Orang Medan ends abruptly, with a sentence cut off mid-transmission. Whether it was a chemical disaster, a fabricated tale, or something we'll never fully untangle, the Orang Medan remains one of the most disturbing stories ever told at sea. Because sometimes the scariest mysteries aren't about what's watching you. They're about what happened so fast no one even had time to scream. Dang!
I think that's what's scary to me too, is like
I feel trapped.
Yeah, there's no, and to imagine what you're immediately thinking of in those like quick seconds.
Yeah. Like, warning for those of you who do not like water or talking about ships with water, which you probably shouldn't even be listening to this episode anyway. But whenever we were out on the cruise, it was such a weird feeling. Like it was big enough to where you felt like you were just kind of like in like a mall or whatever, but when you go outside and you're actually able to see all around you is just ocean, It was a creepy feeling because I was like, oh, like if shit happens, like you're literally out in the middle of the ocean. And then at night, you can't see shit.
I think that's what would get me.
Black. It's dark. You can't see nothing. That was freaky. Freaky. And then sometimes, especially like where you're at in the ship, I think Steven and I were up near the front of the ship, our room was, so you could feel
the waves
a little bit because it's the front that breaks them. You want to be further in the back so that way you're not like hitting the waves. So I'd be standing up and I'm in the bathroom and sometimes I could feel slight rocking of the ship.
Is when you and I went whale watching, trying to pee in that boat was the worst thing I have ever experienced.
One of our times that we went to Maine, we were out on a tiny, tiny little boat and max maybe 100 people. If that. And we're out whale watching. Okay, well, the waves out there were quite big compared to the boat. And
we were rocking. The boat was rocking, baby.
It was rocking. And let me tell you, whenever you get into that bathroom and you're trying to pee and you're having to brace yourselves on the wall and you're literally like this, that was scary. That was so scary. And I kept thinking, like, just sitting on the outside and just watching the boat and like watching how big these wakes were that we were having to go through. I'm like, oh my God. I was terrified. But it was cool, even though we really didn't get to see.
I blame the other boat.
Whales. Yeah. Fuck them.
So if you ever need proof that the ocean has a long memory, this story is it. The SS Valencia was a passenger steamship traveling along the Pacific Northwest coast in January of 1906. She was sailing from San Francisco to Seattle, carrying over 180 people, passengers and crew when she ran straight into brutal winter conditions.
Mm.
Dense fog, massive waves, rocky coastline. Near Vancouver Island, the Valencia drifted off course and ran aground on submerged reefs.
Ugh.
Almost immediately, the ship began to break apart under the force of the waves. Now here's where everything starts to spiral. The Valencia had lifeboats, but many of them were damaged, poorly maintained, or impossible to launch in the violent seas. Several boats were lowered anyway and were either smashed against the ship or capsized almost instantly.
Oh, no.
People were drowning within sight of land.
Oh, that would fucking suck.
Mm-hmm. Out of everyone on board, only 37 people survived. More than 130 lives were lost, making it one of the worst maritime disasters in West Coast history. But the tragedy didn't end when the ship sank. In the weeks and months after the wreck, something strange started to happen along the coast. Lifeboats from Valencia began washing ashore, sometimes completely empty, sometimes damaged, and sometimes intact. And then came the reports. Locals, lighthouse keepers, and fishermen claimed they saw lifeboats drifting through the fog with people inside them. Silent figures, slumped shapes, boats that vanished when approached. Some witnesses said they saw boats rowing against the waves, which made no sense because there was no one alive out there. Others claimed the boats appeared only during heavy fog, following the same stretch of coastline where the Valencia went down. These sightings kept happening for years. In fact, lighthouse keepers at Carmana Point reported logging multiple sightings of the unexplained boats appearing offshore, only to disappear before rescue crews could reach them. And here's the part that really messes with you. Some of the lifeboats recovered later were identified as definitely belonging to the Valencia, confirming that at least some of what people were seeing was tied to the wreck.
Oh, no.
Now, of course, there are rational explanations. Fog can distort distance and shape. Waves and debris can look like boats. Grief and trauma linger in hard places where tragedy happens, especially in a tight coastal community. But here's the thing. Not everyone who reported seeing the phantom lifeboats knew the Valencia's story. Some sightings happened decades later, long after the wreck had faded from headlines. And the descriptions stayed eerily consistent. Small boats, heavy fog, human shapes that never waved back. The area where the Valencia sank eventually earned a nickname, the Graveyard of the Pacific. Even today, the wreck site is considered dangerous, and parts of the ship remain scattered along the ocean floor, a permanent reminder of how quickly things go wrong at sea. The Valencia doesn't feel haunted in a dramatic Hollywood way. It feels haunted in a much quieter way. Like the ocean replaying a moment it never got over. Because if you were one of the people who climbed into those lifeboats, if you were so close to the shore you could almost touch safety, wouldn't you keep trying to row back? The SS Valencia reminds us that some tragedies don't sink all at once. Some of them drift, they resurface, and they keep showing up long after the waves have moved on.
That's actually really sad. Oh, I don't like it. Those poor people.
It does make sense, though, because, like, if you think about it in your last moments, if you were trying to reach land in the afterlife, you would probably try to do the same thing, especially if you don't necessarily understand that you're in the afterlife.
Yeah. Oh, it's giving the others, but make it ship ocean edition. So I feel like that one was really the only one out of the 4 that we talked about that actually has
a legitimate,
like, evidence and stuff like that.
Especially considering there's still wreckage.
Yeah. That just that makes me think of, like, when people go on Alaskan tours and stuff like that, or Alaskan cruises. Hopefully that doesn't go around those type of areas. Because it said out of Seattle.
I know when G went on one, I think they went out of Seattle.
Yeah, because it said, sailing from San Francisco to Seattle. Yeah. So just along the coast. Oh, yeah. I was really scared whenever we were on the cruise that we were going to, like, come across pirates.
That's a very real thing.
Like actual pirates.
Yeah, that is a very, very real thing.
Actual pirates are very, 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 very scary. Very scary.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Yeah. Ugh. Thankfully, I don't think any area that we went through, but I've seen videos where cruise ships are going through certain areas and they literally come across the intercom and tell everybody to, like, close their blinds, turn their lights off, and stuff like that, because they're going through areas where pirates would be.
They'll even put like fake, like the barbed wire across the thing and stuff like that. Have people out there with like fake guns and stuff, body dummies and stuff like that.
Ugh. Water cannons, all that fun stuff. Ew. Well, sailors across time report eerily similar experiences. Footsteps on deck when no one's there, voices over radios that don't belong to any known signal.
Lights from ships that aren't on the radar, and missing time. Hours gone, sometimes even days.
And sure, the ocean messes with perception, but not consistently, across cultures, across centuries.
The ocean is final. There is often no recovery, no burial, no goodbyes, and the lack of closure matters.
It is also a liminal space, not land, not destination, and paranormal stories thrive in liminal spaces. If trauma can be imprinted on places,
why not on water?
So next time you see a ship on the horizon,
maybe ask yourself who's actually on it.
Or who was.
Ooh.
Yeah. No. Yeah, going back to what we said at the beginning, if you want a good spooky ship movie to watch,
Go Ship.
Go Ship.
It's not,
and you'll understand where my reaction comes from.
Yeah, it's not the greatest of movies. Like, it's C grade for me. Like, I would classify it as C grade. It's definitely a classic for me, but it's not the greatest of movies. But that opening scene, it makes up for anything else.
Did you mean to be funny with that?
Oh, shit.
C
grade.
I'm sitting here going, and she's just like,
it's like, what, bitch? It's not that funny. C grade. No, I did not mean that. Wow. Just call me a comedian. But yeah, it's the opening scene. It makes for everything. And then the technical plot twist at the very end. If somebody watched Gore, I would really tell her to watch it, but she doesn't.
I feel like I've seen it before.
I've probably made you watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it before, and definitely going back and rewatching like that cut, literally the cut scene.
Mm-hmm.
It looked familiar, and I was just like, yeah, I think I've seen this before. But ew.
Yeah, it's pretty out there. It sliced people in half, and the captain literally lost his scalp because he was like bent over. And everybody looks fine, and then it all pans out, and everybody's bodies are just dropping. I'm pretty sure one lady even tries to grab her legs.
Yeah.
Let us know if you liked this episode, if this is kind of the stuff you would like to hear about, because there are plenty of ghost things we could talk about, like ghost trains, ghost cars, ghost
flights,
elevators, I really want to do ghost flights.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really tragic flights that I would love to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let us know.
Also, quick shout out to another paranormal podcast, Realms and Beyond podcast. I will link them down below so that way you guys can go check them out.
I think Tab and Jason are the hosts. They're really great people.
They're two other best friends that they have their own little paranormal podcast, and we've become friends with them, and you should definitely go check them out.
Agree. Do all the things. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, share it with your friends and family and even your enemies.
Yeah. Send any stories you might have or any suggestions of stuff you want us to talk about at the Afterlife Hotline at gmail.com.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, anywhere that you get your podcasts. And Substack.
That too.
Do that because she worked really hard on it.
I tried.
Yeah. You should do all the things. Yeah. Like this video. And yeah. Well, until next time.
Keep one foot in the living world.
And one ear on the line.
Bye.